You know that feeling, right? You're talking to someone, and on the surface, everything they're saying seems friendly. But deep down, on an instinctual level, your gut is screaming that something is completely off. Have you ever felt that subtle, creeping discomfort? That little voice of intuition whispering that something dark is hiding just behind their smile? Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant thinkers to ever explore the human mind, talked about a core concept called the shadow. The shadow is that hidden, repressed part of ourselves, all the things we deny we are. But here's the thing about the shadow. It always finds a way to come out, especially in how we treat other people. And when someone secretly feels hate, envy, or resentment towards you, they might try to push it down and hide it, but they can never bury it completely. The signs are always there. They might be subtle, but once you know what to look for, they are unmistakable. Today, we're going to break down 8 of those undeniable signs that reveal when someone close to you is harboring hostile feelings, even if they're doing everything in their power to hide it. You'll want to pay close attention because sign number 8 is the most insidious and deceitful of them all, and it could completely flip the way you see some of the people in your life. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're serious about personal and spiritual growth, you won't want to miss what we have planned. Now, let's begin. The first sign is contempt, disguised as irony. Look, hidden hostility doesn't always show up as a loud argument or an open insult. Some people are masters of the backhanded compliment and the sarcastic jab. They use biting irony to get their digs in. They'll make fun of things they know are sensitive topics for you, but the moment you get defensive or try to call them out, they immediately flip the script with lines like, "Whoa, I was just joking. Don't be so touchy," or, "Geez, learn how to take a joke." This tactic is incredibly sneaky because it's designed to make you feel like the bad guy. It leaves you feeling small and uncomfortable, while they get to maintain their facade as the fun, harmless person who was just kidding around. But let's be clear, when irony is repeatedly used to target your insecurities, it stops being humor and becomes a clear signal of hidden contempt. If their jokes consistently leave you feeling humiliated or put down, and especially if they keep hammering away at the same sensitive subjects over time, you're not dealing with a comedian. You're dealing with repressed hostility. Jung argued that our personal shadow gets projected onto others, often without us even realizing it. So when someone constantly uses irony to attack parts of your personality, what they're really doing is revealing the parts of themselves they just can't stand. The second sign is hidden sabotage. If someone in your circle feels threatened by your success or your personal growth, they might try to sabotage you in subtle, under-the-radar ways. Sabotage isn't always this big, dramatic movie plot. Sometimes it's far more quiet. It looks like misleading advice. It looks like forgetting to pass along a crucial piece of information. It looks like a series of small mistakes that, when you add them all up, conveniently stop you from reaching your goals. Think about it. That friend or family member who always seems to forget to give you an important message, or who leaves out key details when explaining something, or who accidentally makes things more complicated for you right before a big deadline. They might not be as absent-minded as they appear. If you notice these accidents happen over and over again, and they always seem to pop up at the worst possible moments, it's time to start asking if they're really a coincidence. Pay attention to the pattern. Jung explained that when a person doesn't have the courage to face their own shortcomings, they might unconsciously project that frustration onto others. They hold you back to keep themselves from feeling inferior. Sign number 3 is silent competition. Some people just can't stand to see you win without feeling an overwhelming urge to outdo you. Every single time you achieve something, they find a way to make it about them, or to downplay what you've accomplished. You share a piece of good news, and instead of just being happy for you, they immediately pivot to a story about themselves. You tell them about a recent success, and they're lightning fast to point out how they did something similar, or maybe even a little bit better. This isn't just friendly rivalry, it's an unspoken war, and it comes from a place of deep insecurity. People who do this can't stand to see you shine because your light casts a shadow on their own self-esteem. If you find that every conversation with someone feels like a battle for the top spot, It's a huge red flag that there's unexpressed resentment simmering just below the surface. Jung believed that this kind of shadow projection happens when people see qualities in others that they haven't been able to develop in themselves. So, because they feel inferior, they'll try to diminish you or constantly compete with you. It's their way of avoiding the difficult work of facing their own feelings of inadequacy. Next, sign number 4 is superficial support. The person who secretly resents you might put on a mask of support, but it's hollow and you can feel it. When you genuinely need their help, they'll downplay your problem or have a long list of excuses for why they can't be there. And when you achieve something amazing, their enthusiasm feels forced, or it's just not there at all. This becomes painfully obvious during the most important moments of your life. If you notice that a specific person is consistently busy or unavailable whenever it really counts, or if they react to your biggest wins with total indifference, it's very likely their feelings for you aren't genuinely positive. This lack of real support isn't always easy to spot at first, but over time the pattern becomes undeniable. Just watch how they react when you're at your highest and your lowest. Jung talked about something called ego dissociation, a defense mechanism that makes some people emotionally disconnected from others. This can come across as coldness or an inability to truly show up for the people around them. They say the right words, but there's no real feeling, no real support behind them. And that brings us to sign number 5, control disguised as caring. Some people will try to dominate your entire life under the false pretense that they're just doing it for your own good. They tell you what you should do. They criticize every choice you make, and they constantly plant seeds of doubt about your own ability to make decisions. But their goal isn't to support you, it's to make you feel weak and dependent on them. This type of control is tricky to recognize because it's so often wrapped in the language of love and concern. But here's the key indicator. How do they make you feel? If, after every piece of their loving advice, you walk away feeling more insecure and less confident, you are likely dealing with a very subtle form of manipulation. Jung argued that this desperate need to control others comes from a deep fear of their own internal chaos. Because they can't manage their own uncertainty and emotional instability, they try to govern the lives of others. It's a distraction so they don't have to deal with themselves. The 6th sign is the spreading of criticism and gossip. People who harbor negative feelings toward you rarely have the courage to confront you directly. Instead, they choose a much more insidious weapon. They talk about you to other people. They spread criticism, twisted information, and rumors behind your back. This behavior is particularly dangerous because it attacks you indirectly, poisoning your reputation and social circle, often before you're even aware of what's happening. Have you ever noticed a sudden shift in how others treat you? Maybe some friends or colleagues start avoiding you or acting colder for no clear reason. It's possible that someone has been whispering in their ears, spreading negative information to slowly undermine and isolate you. False rumors are a powerful tool for someone holding a grudge because they damage your public image without leaving any fingerprints. Carl Jung explained that this need to discredit someone is almost always an unconscious attempt to project one's own insecurities onto them. People who feel inferior or deeply dissatisfied with their own lives try to feel better by casting others in a bad light. So remember this: those who speak badly of you are revealing far more about their own character than they are about yours. Sign number 7 is a complete lack of joy in your successes. This is a big one. People who truly care about you are happy when you're happy. They support you in the tough times, and they celebrate with you in the good times. Your victories feel like their victories. On the other hand, someone who secretly resents you can barely hide their annoyance when you succeed. You can see it in their face. You can hear it in their voice. They might give you a cold, flat, "Oh, that's great," before immediately changing the subject. Or they might try to downplay your success, saying things like, "Well, it's not that big a deal," or "I did something like that a few years ago." These aren't just opinions. These are the sounds of envy and a poorly managed ego. Jung explained that the inability to be happy for others reveals a deep, unresolved internal conflict. For them, your success is not a source of joy. It's a painful reminder of their own perceived failures. Seeing you get what you want only highlights what they haven't been able to achieve. If you notice someone around you consistently struggles to celebrate with you and shows irritation instead of happiness, it's almost certain that what they feel deep down is the exact opposite of what they're showing you. And now, we've arrived at sign number 8. This is the most powerful sign of all because it's the one people have the least control over. Hidden hatred ultimately reveals itself through non-verbal language and the tiny details. A person can lie with their words, but their body will almost always betray their true feelings. A fleeting glance at the wrong moment, a smile that feels forced and doesn't reach the eyes, a sudden stiffness in their posture, or a tense silence. When there should be joy, these signals say more than 1,000 words ever could. Someone can pretend to like you, but if they feel hostility, their body will react. You'll see their hands clench when you talk about a success. You'll hear their tone of voice become strained when they pay you a compliment. They'll avoid eye contact when you're being vulnerable. Jung himself argued that the body and the unconscious never lie. While our conscious mind can put on a mask, our body responds to our real, raw emotions. So, if you sense a persistent tension, a discomfort, a coldness in a person's presence, trust your instincts. You have likely picked up on a signal that your conscious mind is trying to rationalize away. Recognizing these non-verbal cues requires paying attention. Words can be deceiving, but body language and the small details will always reveal the truth.